And really, ultimately, he's the sustainer. He's the one who's going to hold this heartbeat. He's the one who's going to bring the harvest. He's the one who planted this seed. I didn't plant it. And he was like, I planted this seed, not you. I'm holding the watering can. I'm holding this heartbeat. I'm holding your harvest. And there will be flowers in this valley. And I'm just very thankful for this little promise that feels incredibly surprising and very tender and fragile, but just also a lot of just assurance and trust that I know that God has it, and that we're going to be okay.
Holy Wild Birth is a podcast embracing the reclamation of giving birth rooted in God's original design, undisturbed.
Here, we share homebirth stories highlighting God's presence as the great midwife, as well as conversations about all aspects of a holistic, spirit-led childbearing year, from the perspectives of myself, traditional midwife Lauren Hall, of Rooted in Eden Private Membership Association,
and me, holistic birthkeeper and photographer Brooke Collier of Sister Birth. Together, we are co-founders and facilitators of Hearth Mother Journey, where we are raising up the next generation of holy wild birthkeepers.
To choose a holy wild birth journey is to consecrate all of your decisions unto the Lord and reclaim creation unadulterated by centuries of human attempts to control and improve upon what God has called good.
Please remember that birth is not a medical event, but a natural process, and we are not your care providers, so this should not be taken as medical advice.
Hi, friend.
Hello, hello.
It's our June cup of tea without the tea.
Without the tea, I have coconut water.
Oh, okay.
With a little lemon.
I have water with lemon.
I mean, it is summer.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah.
My son just got back from Brazil and he was talking about, oh man, I forgot to take a picture. They had coconut water in the actual coconuts and I thought of you.
Yeah. Aw, that's cute. I feel like that's like the sort of thing you see in like cartoons.
Right?
But no, people really do drink out of coconuts.
Yeah, that's a real thing. He was like, I thought you'd love it. I was like, I do.
You should have brought one home for you. Smuggled it home in his luggage.
Right. He did smuggle home a lot of guaraná and Brazilian chocolate. It's guaraná.
Okay.
It's a type of fruit that grows in Brazil, and it's so popular there that they actually make a soda out of it. And it tastes almost like a berry flavored Sprite. Like it's a very light berry flavor, like very, very undertone. It tastes mainly like a Sprite, but it's more refreshing than a Sprite would be and has this like light berry undertone. It's called guaraná. And they're these little red berries, but it is like all the rage in Brazil. And apparently they also have what they call the poor man's guaraná, which is not the soda form. It's just the I guess the juice or the non-carbonated guaraná. And our pastor's wife, Kamani, she goes, they actually used to be, they helped plant a church down there and they lived in Brazil for a long time. And that's the church that they go back and do missions, so it's like a long-standing relationship with them. But they lived in Brazil for years. And she was like, they always would go to, they don't even sell the poor man's guaraná in the like nicer areas. You had to go to the, like, she was like, but that's the better one.
Yeah, I was going to say, I feel like I might like that better.
I might, yeah. So, but he brings home tons of guaraná when he comes back, and then all these Brazilian chocolates that are like wafer based. Essentially, there's a lot of chocolates that are wafer based, little wafer cookies and things, and then of course Brazilian coffee. But
fun, yeah.
He literally took a whole bag down just to be able to bring back those things. He checked a bag full of all the Brazilian goodies.
Definitely. I mean, we could stock up on stuff like that at probably a fraction of the cost of what it would be
at a fraction
here.
Yeah, at a fraction. It's like the I want to say transfer rate, but that's not it. The conversion rate for the dollar is insane. Like it's it's really depressing actually when you think
Mhm.
about it for them. But you go down with $50 and you might as well have like 400. It's just
Mhm.
so he he stocked up on lots of snacks and poured into their economy a bit.
There you go. Yeah, that's true.
But
And how was the
yeah,
mission part of the mission trip?
oh, it
The
was
not the
beautiful.
mission get snacks, but the
Not the mission
the
get
mission
snacks,
gospel.
not the 17-year-old mission that,
Yeah.
the ulterior mission. No, that it was so beautiful. He came back with so much joy. I mean, the kid's
Mm.
already such a good kid. I just, not biased or anything, but adore him. But he just came back just overflowing with joy. God did so much in his life personally, and then just also there was a lot of like they saw healings, they saw people come to Jesus,
Mm.
a bunch of kids that like they were in the schools a lot, and these particular ones they did a lot of delivering food certain homes. Like they would walk through the cities and they had made food bags and things and were just delivering food and asking if anybody needed prayer. And on one of those days, as they were getting back into the van, these kids had just gotten out of school and ran up and were like, "What are you guys doing?" And, like, "You're American," and started talking to them, and they got to share the gospel with them. And the kids accepted Jesus right there on the spot. And,
Wow.
and then there was, like I said, there was one of the kiddos got to lead a prayer over a woman who'd not been able to move her shoulder for 6 months. She'd not been able to lift it. And, she said when they asked her what we could pray for, and the kid, it was funny, he's kind of one of our more reserved, kind of watches everything else, but isn't normally like really prominent speaker in groups and that kind of thing. And he was voluntold by one of the youth leaders to to lead the prayer. He was like, "Parker would love to pray for that." And he was like, oh, I shouldn't have said his name. And he was like, "I would? Okay." But then of course he's been raised by a, prayer mama, like, and honestly, both his parents are leaders in our church. And, so he knows how to pray. And so out of his mouth came this beautiful prayer just with ton of faith behind it. And her shoulder was healed right there in that moment.
Yeah.
And then she was like, "My sister's back is hurt. Hold on, let me go get my sister." And so she went and got her, and then they prayed over her back, and her pain in her back dissipated. So
Praise
just
Jesus.
some
So good.
really cool things, and some really personal but beautiful works of the Lord in Aiden's life, even on a personal level. And then just they saw some real heavy spiritual warfare.
Mhm.
A lot of the kids were I say kids, they're all older teens, but they were all deeply affected by that, but also learned the power of like worship as our warfare, and, spiritual prayer, and, pushing back on the kingdom of darkness, because they saw some really
Yeah.
hard things. That one was hard. That day he texted me, "I need a hug. Please pray." And I was like, "Okay, we're fine." Like, I'm getting
Yeah.
a ticket to Brazil right now. But he had some good leaders
Hold my
there
adrenal
that,
cocktail.
right, hold my adrenal cocktail. I'm coming, son. But no, he had some good mama leaders down there, and they were able to give him a pseudo mama hug, and they all, just, yeah. So beautiful things, some hard things, some freedom, just lots of just glorious, honestly, all around mission trip that he came back just, you know, bounding with the joy and peace of the Lord, and it's overflowing all over the house and into his siblings. And it's just beautiful what mission trips, when you really pour
Mm.
out and, are truly selfless in ways that maybe you don't have as obvious opportunity to do. We have the opportunity, but not as obvious as it
Yeah.
feels like when your only goal is to be on mission.
Mhm. Mhm.
And so it's coming out of him every pore, and it's been a joy to
Oh,
see that.
that's so good.
Yeah.
Thanks for sharing about that.
Yeah.
If it wasn't so off topic, we could have Aiden do a whole podcast episode about it.
I love it. Yeah. Yes, I can't wait. He's going to give his testimony on Wednesday at church, and for the youth group, some of the others who went are going to kind of give their testimony of what Brazil, like what it was like. And,
Mm.
they do a youth trip down there every year. So I'm sure some of it is to also, encourage the other ones
Yeah.
to think about, start planning for next year and that kind of thing. But I'm so excited to hear his his testimony in full. He's already shared it with us, and there were definitely tears, but I'm excited to maybe get to record that and I don't know if it'll be posted online or not on our church's website or not, but
Mm.
I'm very excited to hear it and see him speaking in front of people. He gave his testimony down there. He's he's level 1 autism. And so his social skills have blossomed in the last 2-3 years since his first mission trip. But he's becoming more vocal with people about who he really is and like
Yeah.
what's going on inside of him and just more confident. And it's been beautiful to
Yeah.
see. And so I'm just excited to see him like make this other big step to speak in front of people, which he apparently did in Brazil first. But
Mm.
yeah,
Oh, that's a big deal. So many
it's
signs of growth and maturity,
yes,
like
so
increasing
many.
maturity.
Yes, yes,
Yeah. Wow. That must be like just so good for your mama heart
it is.
to
It
witness all
is.
that.
Yeah,
Hmm.
that was because he felt called to become a pastor after his first mission trip, and so he was like, I know this is what God's calling me to do. And I've known he was called to be a pastor since he was like 3. But the amount of like closed in that he was just like, okay, that means I have to like learn how to be social. I have to learn how to speak to
Mm.
people and like open up and
Hmm.
and so some of his goals he set was to get was at the end of last year he set a goal to speak in front of the youth by the end of the year. And so I was like, look at that. Did you
Yeah, way to
like
be
you've already got
proactive.
that? And he
Hmm.
was like, and it just, with his yes and with, he was asked and he was like, here it is. Like I was asked to do it and I'm saying yes. And like, it's so good.
Yes. So
So
good.
good. It was so good. Very proud mama. Very proud mama.
Hmm.
So what about you? What's been going on in your life?
I'm middling.
You're middling.
Middling. I actually have a Substack by that name. Very underused, but I like the word. And when I talk about middling, I kind of just mean, I don't know, I'm 46. I'm like not beginning my life. I'm not ending it. I'm just middling.
Oh,
And a lot
I
of
love that.
processes and parts of my life are just in the middle. Like I traditionally am very good at up beginning things. There's a lot of excitement and passion and drive and finishing things even I kind of enjoy. But being present and faithful in middles is more challenging for me and maybe for a lot of people. And I feel like that's been kind of like an umbrella invitation over my life for a little while now to faithfully keep walking through the middle spaces.
That is so rich, Brooke. That's so rich.
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
But it's hard though, right? 'Cause sometimes I was even processing with you before I got on the call. It sometimes feels boring, like dull,
Yeah.
like I don't have anything interesting to share or going on. Like I'm just pressing on, just doing the things. And
Mm.
it's a lower drama space. It's not
It's the
doesn't
slow
tend to
burn.
be. Yeah, but I think it's good for me as somebody who has in my younger adulthood been a pretty emotionally volatile, drama seeking person.
Mm.
There is
That's
some
so
beauty.
hard to see. That's so hard to see.
You can't see that in me as a possibility, but
No.
no. Oh, good. That means I'm growing. So
Yes.
I think that is the invitation to growth is to becoming a steadier, more faithful person, not whipped here and there by every wind of my emotional interior drama. So I'm middling,
I
but in the
love
middles,
that.
there are lots of good things going on and other things that feel more challenging to just continue to persevere through and continue to choose to see the Lord at work in
Mm.
places that like I long for some change or shift, but it's not here yet, you know?
Yeah.
Excuse my voice getting weird. Okay, so what's going on more specifically? That was more like a meta evaluation.
It was good
I
though.
attended another birth since our last call.
Yeah, you did.
So again, keeping a pretty small load over here, but I had another one in May, right? Yes.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
June 1st. It was June 1st.
Was it June 1st?
It was June 1st. Yeah, because it was on my eldest daughter's birthday.
That is correct.
Mhm.
That
In the
is
middle of the
right.
night, and I got home, by dawn to then stay up and celebrate my daughter's birthday. But it was a lovely birth, and yeah, my second time serving this couple, their seventh child this time, and pretty smooth, a little different. I don't want to say too much because it's their story, but I'll tell you from my own internal perspective. I was just kind of aware that I was internally the way that I was showing up. And I would say maybe the last birth I attended before that too. I'm showing up differently on the inside and probably therefore on the outside too. There's like some inexplicable shift happening inside of myself about how I see my role and the confidence with which I'm taking that role and filling that space.
Yeah.
Like an internal resolve and settledness that's kind of new for me and it feels really good for the most part. And so there was a moment in this birth when the intention was not for me to do anything hands-on really because they were going to birth and catch their baby. But there arose a situation where my hands were needed to do something that they weren't able to do in that moment on their own, which was simply to unwrap a nuchal cord that was tightly wrapped 3 times. And I've never done that before, but I've read about it. I've studied
Sure.
about it. I've seen it. And so in that moment, it's just like, okay, I am doing that.
This. Yeah.
Just in this really matter of fact, non-adrenalized way. And that just felt kind of awesome to
Very
see myself,
middling.
very middling, sure. To see myself step in and just do what needed done in a really
Yeah.
calm, matter of fact way, with a lot of
Yeah.
clarity and
Mhm.
presence. And I was like, oh, look at me. I can do that.
Yeah.
It was never scary,
Right.
but
I love that it was a beginning and yet done with that like middling energy, you know?
hmm, yeah, yeah, that's
It's
cool.
like a
That's a good
start,
feedback.
but you did it with calm and assurance and confidence and like this is why I'm here right now. Like this is
Mhm.
great.
Uh-huh.
I love it.
Yeah. And same with that baby needing a little help, like
Mhm.
clearing his lungs and breathing normally. So there was a little bit of action there too to kind of coach through and assist with a little bit. Again, never terrifying, never super scary or life endangering, but just like the ability to see something needs done. This baby is asking for a little help. So how can I make sure he gets that help?
Yeah.
Yeah. So that was good, blessed birth.
Mm. Beautiful.
Yeah. And I'm
Beautiful,
off call
beautiful.
again now until July. That feels good too.
Lovely. That's
Yeah.
lovely. Spending most of this year on off call, but I'm on call right now
Mm-hmm.
and awaiting
2 babies?
technically, yeah, I think it might be next week for the next one to go on call or like within the next couple days.
Mm.
But yeah, both very low key, easy mamas to serve. So, and then I'll be done for honestly the foreseeable future.
Yes. I feel
Yes,
like that was a bit of a teaser.
it is. It is a bit of a teaser. It's true, but there's a reason why.
A reason that has become more manifest recently.
Yes. So I was already off call, really the Lord asking me to let the ground rest and really take in as much rest as I could from work in ways that felt weighty on my system, on my nervous system, and,
Mm-hmm.
routines and such. And at the time, we really read into that and I think in obedience, he asked us to hand over trying actively for a baby because my body needed rest. He asked us to rest and so my husband and I both handed that over. We talked a lot about that in the last cup of tea. And in typical God fashion, as soon as we were obedient and submitted that, he turned around and handed us a blessing. A complete surprise. I think I even mentioned I thought I wasn't ovulating because there had been no signs of ovulation. The first time would have been because he wanted me to not see that I was ovulating, I guess. And then the second time was because I was pregnant. That was not ovulating because there was a baby in there.
Oh my gosh, Lauren.
So, yeah, we are expecting. I took I don't even normally take tests because I normally feel like immediate conception and just like no. And it was one of our business meetings. We gather on a normal time every week. And Brooke had some things going on with her kiddos that made her a couple minutes late to joining into the Zoom. And I had these like symptoms, that I was like, that feels familiar. You're silly. That's not possible. You didn't ovulate. You can't be pregnant. Like, go away, little thought, and then it'd come again. And it's like, you're not pregnant. Like, that's not what this is. Like, and so in the time I was waiting, I was like, well, guess what? I'm a midwife. I have pregnancy tests in the office. I will go take a test. And then the thought can go away.
Yeah,
And
put it to
instead,
rest.
there was no resting to the thought. Instead, it was immediate pink line. I mean, just test line, like dye stealer, like immediate. I was just like, okay, that's not what I was expecting at all. And so I come and I sit down in front of the computer and Brooke gets on and I don't even know what you were actually thinking
I was just
when you
like
saw it.
babbling about something and then I saw your face and I was like, are you okay? It's like, she's not normal right now.
It's like in utter shock. I mean, just complete confusion because I did not take the test for even like giving myself time to like think or process the result. Like I literally thought this will be negative and I can like finally get rid of the thought. And then it was not negative. And I was like, this was not the right time to take this test. Okay. What?
Mm-hmm.
What? And I just was in utter shock, just kind of staring blankly at the screen, hearing her talk about this child and that child needing these things. And I was like, I hear you, but it's kind of like you're underwater. I have no idea what's happening. It was like, okay. And then she like looked at me. I was like, are you okay? And I think I said something like, yes, no, I'm in shock. I'm
I think you
confused.
said, I'm just
I'm
having
happy.
a lot of feelings.
I'm
right
having
now.
a lot of feelings. I was like, I'm shocked. I'm happy. I'm confused. And then I started crying. I was like, surely she knows what's up now. And I just picked up the test and showed her because I had no words. And so Brooke was officially the first one to know because I was just like, oh, this is what's happening.
I was in the right place at the right time. Although I honestly at first was afraid you were going to tell me something really terrible had happened. I was worried for a moment.
Where you were
yeah
holding. Yeah, I'm sure. I was just like shocked. I was like, I have no idea what to do with this information.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, I'm happy and crying.
Fair.
So yeah, so that kind of, there was a little bit of confusion. There's been a lot of sickness.
Mm-hmm.
There's been a lot of depletion. It has actually been probably easily the hardest pregnancy that I've ever carried. This is my 12th, 8 living. We've lost 3 we've lost, that's right. So 8 living, we've lost 3. There's 1 in the womb. There's so many numbers, guys. And so I just have been really, 18 years of consecutive nursing and, pregnancy and nursing has definitely put my body into some, nutritional wellness debt that I've just been like, okay, God, I don't, like you're the one who really helped me see that, which it wasn't like I was completely unaware, but he really brought it to the surface, really was like, we're going to focus on this. We're going to, do some healing. And I thought, and I think it was, giving over my own desires for this little promise baby was, an act of obedience and part of that healing, even though it feels a little counterintuitive to be pregnant while trying to heal these stores.
Mm-hmm.
But that's where we are. And
Yep.
he's just been so present in it. Like I said, I've been very sick. I've been very depleted. I've had some really intense moments of just kind of, heat exhaustion and 40 minutes of 83-degree weather, like just really clear signs of depletion. I'm not able to make my own food and have, just like I literally can't move right now. It's
Mhm.
been getting a little better, but with some real intention and getting some certain assistance and helps and things that have been
Mhm.
needed.
Mhm.
But, I don't wanna spend all my time on all of those, like, the nitty-gritty. What I really wanna
Mm.
say is, like, God has been so very present in it, and, the thing that really occurred to me the most is the song I mentioned last time, "Let the Ground Rest." It's the song he gave me when I lost Eden in January. It's the song he used to really set my heart and mind on resting and sabbatical and,
Mhm.
submitting to his will and
Yeah.
our family planning. And is the song there's the last verse in that song that somehow I just must have sobbed through each time I was really focusing on these songs, because the last verse of that song says,
Which you somehow didn't really hear until
I
this
yeah,
week.
like, I think I've always cried through I never got to the end, I don't know.
Well, the Lord
But
highlighted the other part for you, and that's what you were supposed to be
for
focused on, because
sure,
that was his here and now word for
that was
you.
his here and now word then,
Mhm.
and so, the end of the song says, "'Cause he'll finish what he starts. He started this. I know. If he saw the plans, maybe you wouldn't go. I watch him plant a seed and then let the ground rest. Said child, oh, believe, 'cause I promise there's a harvest." And so it's like, "Oh, you said you planted a seed and then I'm gonna rest." Okay. It's hard to even, like, read that without crying, like, my tears are
Mm.
coming, and there was another song that was also it was on the same playlist when I was, losing our child in January. I had made a playlist of, I called it Costly But Worth It worship songs. And so Garden by Jervis Campbell was also in it. And so it was like he had told me, put the playlist on. And so I was like, okay. And these two songs came up, and it was like it was like I'd heard these songs for the first time, even though I'd been listening to them. And it says, again, the last verse in that song says, "From the garden to the shadows, every heartbeat belongs to you. Like a sharpened arrow, oh, you guide me, you send me through. Though I started so shallow, deeper you call me down. When it's hardest to follow, I'll remember to hold up the crown." And so, especially just the heartbeat and the sharpened arrow, I was just like, you hold this little heartbeat. Like you've got this. And the third real song, and haven't caught the theme. God really speaks to me, not just like, yes, through his scripture always, but worship is the love language he uses to speak to me often. And one of our listeners, Anna, sent us a lovely email with some of her own beautiful things after our last cup of tea. And she mentioned a song in there. And as soon as I read the title, I was like, there's something there. I need to listen to that. And there was a line in it that says, "Lord, why are you keeping," or so I brought it up in a desperate prayer, "Lord, why are you keeping me here?" Then he said to me, "Child, I'm planting seeds. I'm a good God and I have a good plan, so trust that I'm holding a watering can. And someday you'll see that flowers grow in the valley." And I just, ultimately, there's this theme of like, this might be a valley in your own body. This might be
Mhm.
a really difficult pregnancy. And there's a lot of concern about, the whether I can steward it and sustain. And really ultimately, he's the sustainer. He's the one who's going to hold this heartbeat. He's the one who's going to bring the harvest. He's the one who planted the seed. I didn't plant it. And I think, if anything, I'm so thankful that he, in this assurance of like, I'm going to give you this baby right now because it's my timing, not because you tried,
Yeah.
you know,
Mhm.
because we were trying and we really wanted. And then we were actively avoiding and following all the rules and doing the things. And he was like, I planted this seed, not you.
Mhm. Yep.
I'm holding the watering can. I'm holding this heartbeat. I'm holding your harvest. And there will be flowers in this valley. And I'm
Mhm.
just very thankful for this little promise that feels incredibly surprising and very tender and fragile, and lots of prayers for my body and for this baby. But just also a lot of just assurance and trust that I know that God
Yeah.
that has it and
Yeah.
that we're going to be okay.
Mhm.
Are you a Jesus-loving woman who feels called to serve birthing mothers, but feels overwhelmed by the secular New Age ideologies in the birth world? You sense the holy tug to be a birth keeper, doula, or traditional midwife, but it feels impossible to find training that honors both your faith and autonomous birth.
Allow us to introduce you to Hearth Mother Journey. This isn't just another birth worker training. It's a transformative journey that will ground your birth ministry in biblical wisdom, equip you with a Christ-centered methodology of traditional undisturbed birth practices, transform you into the wise guide God is calling you to be, expand the depth and breadth of your understanding of physiological pregnancy, birth, and postpartum.
Join the rising of the modern hearth mother, centered on God's holy hearth, serving as his handmaiden, carrying the sacred fire of wisdom and truth.
We're on a mission to raise up the next generation of holy wild birth keepers. Will you be one of them? Click the link in the show notes to take the next step into your calling.
As you were talking, I had this picture come to mind of some of the most resilient little flowers you'll see growing in really rocky places that really have almost no soil worth mentioning.
Right?
And that they still grow and bloom.
Mm-hmm.
And in this time when I know you're feeling like your soil, or you know objectively even from blood tests and
blood
mineral
tests and
analysis, that the soil is not real substantial right now. But this is going to be a flower that can grow in what there is to offer by God's grace and his sustenance. Yeah.
A little wilder still. Yeah.
Yeah. So good.
Yeah.
I'm curious to see who this little person is.
Yeah, I am too. I feel like I have some insights already of just who they are and holding that, going, okay, God, leave it to you. If that's who they are or if that's still awaiting, because I've definitely had a few children I knew well ahead of time, but I do feel like I have some insights and knowing already of who this little one was. And yeah, just thankful and grateful, even in the sickness and in the depletion. Like I just see him showing up and the ground being nourished. So yeah.
Yep. And I think it's worth mentioning that, like in the watering can,
yeah,
like I feel like the Lord has brought around some people who are equipped to help you in this season and to help water that soil. And what was we went recently, we started a little garden and we went to this shop near our house that's a gardening store. It turns out they mostly just sell things having to do with soil. There was almost nothing in terms of plants or seeds, but there was just so many things for making good soil. And he suggested that we buy a soil amender, is what it was. Sure. So I'm like, you have some metaphorical soil amendment.
Yeah.
Coming through those people and resources that he's pointed out to you and that you're leaning into. And so he won't leave his garden untended.
No, he's a good gardener. He's a good gardener. So just trusting him in that. And
thanks for sharing your news.
Yeah. Thank you for hearing it. Yeah, it's something I definitely learned and was shocked by even as a midwife. And, the other midwife was, that I have in the area, had her checking my phone. Like I had her come and draw some labs because I was concerned about some of my levels and things. And so I was like, you know what? I'm just going to use some of these interventions that I don't normally reach for, because I do feel like it's important to have some information, and wanted to make sure my progesterone was where it needed to be, et cetera, and so forth. And so while she was here, I was like, hey, you want to palpate and see what you're thinking? And because I knew I was a little bit higher than I would expect, but it was like, yeah, I'm a grand multip, had twins last time. Like my uterus is like, cool, we're here. So I was measuring about 16 weeks, which was about double what I should have been, a little over double what I should have been at the time.
So wild.
And there was also some confusion about dates because I didn't really know when I got pregnant. I was like, God, I know all these things, but didn't have any signs of ovulation, so I don't really know. And so dates were a little askewed. I had some probably had to have been around this time, but they just all felt like guesses. And so I was just kind of really like, okay, when would I be due? When is how how long have I been pregnant and unaware? and and so anyways, literally 6 days later, my fundus was at my umbilicus. So what we would say is about 20 weeks pregnant. I was like, okay, in 6 days, I just grew 4 weeks. And everyone thought, twins,
Yeah.
you're
I
super
mean, of
depleted.
course.
You're barely making it through you can't make it through the day. You've had two twin pregnancies the last time in a row. So
Mm.
okay, you've got twins again. So I was pretty confident. Thankfully I only was in that thought space for really heavily, okay, this is twins for a day and a half. But my husband and I were like, okay, I wanted to pray about, do I use ultrasound right now to check on that?
Mhm.
And normally I refer people for ultrasound or in around twin concern, or not concern, but query. We're looking and wondering if that's accurate around 12 weeks. I like to prefer to wait for some of the most crucial development to have occurred. And, you get them still while they're a little small so you can count chorion and amnion. So they're not too big that that's kind of smushed and you can't see it as well. But big enough that that development's occurred. So that's kind of my normal, little sweet spot that I try to
Yeah.
shoot for. But with the dates being so ambiguous,
Mhm.
I was also concerned about, well, babies they were really small last time. They came a little earlier than expected. They weren't preterm. They were definitely term, but it was they were small.
Mhm.
And with the foundations that I have right now, if this is twins, I would definitely want to know the difference between preterm and safe to stay at home,
Yeah.
with our birth plans. And I was like, right now, if I went into labor, this date, I could be 34 weeks or I could be 36 weeks, and one is okay and one is not. And that feels like I don't want to not know that right now, with as in the dark of my dates that I feel. And
And
so,
dating ultrasounds become less, reliable in case anyone doesn't know this,
right.
the further
Yes.
on you are in a
The further
pregnancy.
on you get. So pretty much about 8 weeks past, they're really not accurate. And whereas 8 weeks and below, you're looking at actual development, not just their size. So yes, you have crown rump length that we're always using to date, but under 8 weeks, we're also looking at how much is developed versus how little is developed. And that becomes very apparent of, okay, this happens at the 5th week. This happens at the 6th week. This happens at the 7th week. And so once you kind of pass 8 weeks, we're just on size versus kind of a more cognizant, accurate reading. And so I knew we were at the sweet spot of okay, should we do this ultrasound now or should we wait until what I'm kind of guessing would be around 12 weeks? And just knowing that I was in this, I don't even really know what is 8 weeks and what is 12 weeks even, because we're so I just was like, earlier is going to be better on dates and will give us all the information we're looking for. Whereas later we're not going to have accurate dates, but we'll get count and type. And we just felt like the Lord was like, do it now.
Mhm.
And so we did. And it was just one, which was like, okay. I was really expecting to see two there.
Mhm.
Wasn't upset about it. I was very okay, that was not what I was expecting, but that's fine. But I was very thankful that I didn't go several more weeks, thinking it was twins and being this really confident that there was twins and then kind of being sent for a spiral
Mhm.
that, well, did I lose one? Or is it, was I just
Right.
wrong? Or, all of that, especially having lost a twin in the past. I feel like God was being very merciful to my heart to be like, no,
Mhm.
because I just couldn't get away from the thought, I need to do an ultrasound. And I was like, well, maybe it's dates. So yeah, I was just very thankful for that little mercy. Took an ultrasound homeopathy after to protect baby. We prayed over baby first and prayed for protection and all
Mm.
the things. And we're just trying to be as quick as possible as well. I really don't love ultrasound, really not a fan of the tool, but
Yeah,
it
I
is what
know.
God had us use. this time and was thankful for the information it gave us to kind of clear up some things. So, yeah. So I guess moral of that story, grand multips, post twins, your uterus just is like, cool, this is what we do now.
Right. I mean, you even see that with people who haven't had twins. The more babies you have, the uterus gets ahead of itself. Like, I call it overeager uterus.
Yes.
But like even more so, apparently.
I mean, 4 weeks and 6 days is a lot. And I was like, that's more than a grand multip. But I actually ended up asking a few other midwives that, have been in this many more years than myself. And a few of them were like, oh, yeah, that definitely happens post twins. And I was like, okay, good to know. Good to know. It's like, I've seen that a few times. I was like, okay, so this is a thing the uterus does. It's like, cool, we've got room. We can do the thing.
Yeah. That's good to know, too, so that you don't have to start wondering, well, then is something wrong that this uterus is doing this?
Right. It's just
a variation of normal for
she just
someone
knows
like
the
you.
assignment.
Yeah. What a whirlwind, though, to go through mentally. And
yeah, it was a little bit. I was like, okay. But yeah, I think even the fact that I wasn't like massively emotionally shook by that, I was just like, oh, really? Are we sure? There's nothing else in here? You're moving my uterus around a little bit and there's nothing? No? Okay. I guess. All right. I guess it's just one. It was like shocking, but that feels way too dramatic of a word. It was just like, that is not what I expected, but okay. This is fine. Like probably honestly a lot better in the sense of a very practical standpoint of just like less pull in my body. I would have a lot more concerns sustaining twins right now, even though it felt kind of like, this is why it's so hard. No, it's just this hard because it's this hard. But
right.
But that's where we're at. That's where we're at.
Yeah. Wow. That's such a big update. And not an update you expected to give 1 month from last time we dropped a cup of tea.
Right.
Nope. This is not what you were planning.
It actually makes me think, was I might have been pregnant during that.
Oh, yeah.
I should have to look at the dates.
Oh, boy. That's actually quite possible. Yeah, I think we dropped the last cup of tea episode the day after we recorded it, right? And it was probably 5 weeks ago, though, would be my guess.
I mean, I literally handed it to the Lord. Yeah, I was pregnant. May 6th.
Really?
Uh-huh. I would have been pregnant. That's hilarious, y'all. I was only a few, like, not very far. Not very far, but I would have already conceived. So,
too funny.
Hilarious.
Well, whatever. We got some emails back in response to that.
We did.
Episode, though. Like, I think the things that the Lord put on your heart in that process and the truths that were spoken through it, some people really needed to hear that. And it really blessed people. So you wouldn't have been able to share those things in that authentic way or communicate those truths about God's heart if you were.
That I was.
Yeah, right. Yeah. So worth it.
Yeah. Definitely worth it.
Yeah.
So
good.
Yeah. He's such a fun God. Such a fun God.
And sometimes funny.
Yeah. Hilarious. He's got jokes. Y'all. You should try telling him some. Okay. It froze for you, so I just stopped speaking.
I'm having an unstable connection.
Oh, you're still frozen.
Okay. Are you there? We're having some unstable connections. I think I'm back, but now Lauren is frozen for me. And are you there now?
There you are. Yes.
Okay. All right. I marked this so we can edit it out.
Me too. I marked it as well. I just stopped talking because I had finished my sentence and we were both kind of frozen. So I just kind of waited.
Okay. Perfect.
So it'll just be time.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So the last thing I said was that God had jokes, and yeah,
Mm-hmm.
any last things you'd like to share? I know you've been doing a women's guild. You want to share a
Oh,
little bit about
yeah.
that?
I would love to. So context is we have been at our parish for almost 3 years, and just slowly over that time, more and more, just pressing in and deciding. I think it was about a year ago that we're like, we're here now. Like, we're really going to be here and give ourselves to this community.
Yeah.
And so with that has come just like increasingly like offering to serve and stepping in to fill gaps and just pursuing relationships and going deeper with
Yeah.
people. And so several months ago, our associate rector said that he was really hoping there might be some woman in our parish who would like to start up a women's guild, because there's already a men's guild. What they mean by this is getting together to pray the daily office evening prayer, and then just spending time relationally together. So the men were already
Sure.
doing it. And he was wondering if there was anyone who would like to start one for the women. And my heart just
Oh.
kind of jumped in my chest. And I was like, I want to do that. We already have one really great book club in our parish that I adore. This is such a rabbit trail, but I need to tell people
It's
anyway.
fun.
The way we do book club is it's not like an official church event, but like it's all women from our church. Instead of everyone reading the same book and discussing the same book, everyone brings whatever they're reading and just shares about it.
Sure.
So we take turns, we go around the circle, you bring your stack of books, you give a little summary and what your opinion of it is, and then you say, thus ends my reading journey, and then the next person goes. It's a fun way to learn a lot about people based on what they're reading.
Yeah.
And to get a lot of great ideas of what you might want to read next. So anyway, so there was already that going on, but to have this kind of intentional like time of prayer together and really diving deeper into knowing one another was something that hadn't been set up yet. So I reached out to him and said, I would like to do that, but I think I need a partner, which is, Lauren, you know what a big deal that is. That I
Yeah.
said I need a partner.
That's a huge deal. That's a huge deal. I was kind of like, oh, okay.
Because I used to be the anti-partner person. So I was kind of waiting and feeling out a few people who might be willing to co-facilitate it with me. And those things were just not panning out.
Mm-hmm.
So it was just not happening. And then finally, except for there's a separate person who leads the evening prayer with the Book of Common Prayer. So I did have somebody to do that part. I just didn't have somebody to like facilitate the relational group circle kind of work with me. But eventually Deacon Ben just said, maybe we just start it, and the person who is going to partner with you will show up later or not,
Yeah.
but let's just go. So I agreed to that. And we had our inaugural kickoff last month. And we just had our second one last night. So it's been fun because I carry with me this like love of intentional women's circles, which I've manifested so far mostly in sister circles.
Yeah.
Which is all around pregnancy and birth and postpartum. And this is definitely not that theme. It's much more wide variety of women in different life stages and seasons and vocations and a lot of diversity. But the thought of helping facilitate like just knowing one another more deeply. As I was on my way to the first one, I was just praying like, Lord, what do you want to do? And I just had this sense of like, known be known. Like just help these women know one another and be known. And so shared a little bit of my initial kind of heart and then opened up a conversation to see what they needed and wanted. Like, this is our thing, not my thing. What do we want this to be? The men kind of tend to drink beer and play cards after they do evening prayer. So we could do that. Or they're like, no, that's not what we want to do. It was pretty unanimous that there was a deep hunger to get to know one another more deeply and be seen than could happen on a Sunday morning in the hall talking,
Right.
So feeling a little bit nervous about being like too scripted or having too much of an agenda, but at the same time hearing there was this real desire for depth that I recognize could easily be missed if there wasn't some degree of shepherding a conversation, because women we'll just get together and chat and run our mouths and socialize. It can easily turn into chit chat for the whole time, which is fine, but they were saying they wanted to go deeper.
Yeah.
I had like a month, because we're only meeting once a month, to sit on that. Like, so what does it look like to put that into play practically? and I feel like I finally got kind of some strategy from the Holy Spirit a couple of days before our last gathering. And so this is what I did, and I'll share it. I hope this isn't too much detail, but I'm sharing it because it was so good. Maybe some of you want to try this. I ended up just sitting down and making a list of questions that I felt some of them were kind of not shallow, but like more surface level or could be used that way. And some of them were a little more probing. I think I made like 18 or 20 questions and put them on a list. And then I printed it off and I brought copies and I explained that I thought it would be neat if each person picked a question from the list that they would like to share their answer to. And we kept time, which feels a little awkward, but I actually got out a stopwatch and each person had 2 minutes to share about whichever question they chose from the list. And then instead of it being a beeper, I just did this little thing with my hands, like fluttered my fingers to let them know that their time was out and to finish their thought. And we didn't respond to each other and nobody interrupted. It was just pure listening. So in some way it felt like strange, a little uncomfortable because we're not used to actually being that way in our relationships, right? We talk over each other. We interject with, oh, that makes me think of this, or, oh, I relate to that because, and this was just like pure silent listening with a lot of listening noises like, yeah, oh yeah,
yeah.
You know how women are.
Yeah.
But it's also such a gift to listen that deeply and to be listened to that deeply. So the questions were hit. It was so fun.
I love that.
I could even read some of the questions.
I was like, are you going to share the questions? Because these are awesome. This is such an awesome idea. So you're going to change the questions each month?
Well, we barely touched on. It was interesting.
All of them. Because everybody's going to pick a different one.
For every woman to use every question.
Sure.
So, but what we agreed on is I sent the Google Doc to everybody and said, this is editable. So don't delete anything that's already here. But if you come up with a great question you want to add to the list, just add it. It'll be our living, breathing document. And we can keep reusing it.
Yeah.
So here are some of the questions. What era are you in right now? And how's it going? That's, isn't that a Taylor Swift or something reference?
I don't know, but it's
I don't even listen to her music. What's one of your small pet peeves and what breaks your heart? Tell us why you chose the job that you have and why you keep doing it, but don't tell us what the job is until you've told us the why. Finish the sentence. Being and becoming Anglican means blah, blah, blah. Because, sorry, that's what our church is. How did you come to know Christ? Short version. What's one of your favorite quotes or scripture verses of all time? Which spiritual practices do you tend to lean into the most? What's giving you hope right now? Is there a saint you feel a connection to? Which one and why? Share about a topic you've been really interested in lately. What are you carrying these days? Does it feel heavy or light? Finish this sentence. I believe the church is meant to. How does God speak to you, if at all? And what role does his voice play in your life? Tell about a habit you're working on forming and why. Do you carry church hurt? How are you finding healing from that? Reflect on a part of our shared evening prayer that the Holy Spirit highlighted for you. Wild card, share anything you want. Or they could choose to use their time to respond to something someone else shared or piggyback on someone else's share instead of starting a new conversation thread.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. So there was tears, there was laughter. And then we agreed that the neat thing about it was that even though we couldn't respond in that moment, now we have certain things that we know about these people that we can pick up later.
You can have conversation
Either about, linger afterwards and be like, hey, what you said about this, I really want to know more about that. Or on a Sunday, or you just know how to pray for someone.
Yeah.
It was very cool.
I love that.
Yeah.
So you could edit this out, but what did you answer on that time? Like, what was the question you chose?
What did I ended up speaking briefly on two of them. I answered the one about a topic I've been really interested in lately. And I talked about how I've been reading and learning a lot about the early church fathers, like the ones who were like directly appointed by the apostles and on through like the 400s AD. And I've just been loving that. And because it just helps make sense of like the roots of so much of like our liturgy and Eucharist and our faith. and B, because these men were so martyred, exiled, excommunicated, killed, for the sake of Christ, and just the devotion unto and through all the hard things that nobody would ever want, that they are just the example of their faith is, and then in this historical context that they were living in, is just inspiring and convicting. And then I think I talked about habit that I was working on forming, and I talked about how I have been feeling drawn to the just confession of sin, not necessarily via the rite of reconciliation yet. I still feel too shy about that, but even just inside my own heart of naming with specificity my sins, those things that I have done which I ought not to have done, and those things which I have not done which I ought to have done, which is part of our prayer that we pray in the morning and evening office and every Sunday. But to actually pause long enough to tell the Lord and be honest with him before him about what specifically for me in my life does that look like, and that there's freedom in that, not condemnation, but a freedom to name it and then still receive his mercy.
Absolutely. I love that. Well, thank you for sharing it.
Yeah, you
bet.
It's
Beautiful.
Thanks for letting me share.
Yeah. I might be picking up that list of questions and creating some of our own.
Yeah.
For my open door life group that we do on Wednesdays. I have a little women's group that I use our lunch hour on Mondays to have a couple women just can drop in. There's no, call it open door, because you don't have to be committed to coming every week.
Yeah.
You can come if you want. You can, be a part. You can be like, I'm not going to be able to commit, whatever. It's just a open door for you to have this time, have a light lunch and some, unscripted conversation. But I love the idea of giving some kind of prompts to be able to help that time feel even more meaningful.
Yeah, I think that could work really well in that context. Actually, it's some of the feedback I got was that it's way better than just saying you can talk about anything, because sometimes our brains can't find a thing out of that wide open of a invitation. So it narrowed it down just enough to get them clear about something that they would like to share,
that they wanted to share, that felt still open but also directed. It's very beautiful.
So I could put the link to that in the show notes for anyone, just in case that's something that's useful to anyone as inspiration or outright copying.
Yeah, love that.
Yeah. Well, anything else?
I don't think so. I
No?
think it's a beautiful, beautiful hour of sharing ourselves.
Yeah. So thanks, listeners, for hanging with us and eavesdropping on our convo.
Yeah.
And we'll see you next time.
Yes. And just wanted to say an extra thank you for those who emailed us this last.
Yeah.
I mean, always, but there was a few just really special emails that came in.
And posts in our community, too.
Posts in the community.
With some beautiful shares.
And so I just want to say thank you for engaging. We want to hear and be able to listen to you as well. So please continue to do that.
Yeah.
Till next time.
Till next time. Thank you so much for tuning in to this week's episode of Holy Wild Birth. We hope that you were genuinely encouraged, inspired, and challenged by what you heard today. If you're loving what you hear, please make sure that you share it. Leave reviews. That helps other mamas find this content as well. And don't forget to read the show notes, okay? Because that's where you can find our email address if you want to reach out to us and start a conversation. It's also where you'll find free offerings as well as invitations to work with me and or Lauren. We can't wait to get to know you. See you next week.